joining me on heavensmetalmagazine.com.
Thanks for
hear me
having
okay?
us. Yep.
Yeah.
You bet. It's a pleasant surprise to hear about this great new supergroup.
Hey, right off between us, can we tell you that the term supergroup scares me? It almost makes it really does make my stomach feel a certain way that's not cool. Like,
yeah,
because that's like, to me, that's dude.
Especially because I don't even think I don't even think we think of it as a super group though either. Like
it's such a strong term.
It's just a new band that's going to be really good.
That's
it.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, I understand this band evolved out of a solo project. Please tell me the story of how this began and how the various pieces came together and what led to actually declaring it a band.
Yeah, so what happened was it was during the pandemic, and I finished the Letter Black record, the latest one, which is our self-titled record. And I've just been dying to do a heavier project, more metal. And I started working it on my own, and it's not very fun when you do something all by yourself, like all the drums, all the bass, all the guitars, all the vocals. There's really no other input for somebody to tell you, like, this sucks, this is cool, right? You know, like I could bounce it off my wife, but of course she's like, oh, babe, this is great. So anyway, all that being said, one of my really close friends, and Yogi knows this now, is Travis Wyrick. We've been friends now for almost 20 years. And I was sending him tracks, and he's like, man, this stuff's killer. He's like, are you going to do all of it? I said, well, I mean, I don't want to, but, you know, I don't really know what
but
to
if
do.
I have to, because I'm Mark Anthony, and I'm good at everything, asshole.
I was like, well, you know, I think I might, but I don't really want to. He's like, well, why don't you hit up Rylan? And I was like, you mean like Rylan, like Inhale, Exhale, Rylan? He's like, yeah, man, hit him up. He's not really doing anything anymore. I was like, okay. I was like, can he even sing? He's like, yeah, man, he can sing. I said, okay. I mean, I just always remember him screaming, you know, like a maniac all the time. And grabbing people's heads. Yeah, and shaking their freaking heads off. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I remember Rylan. And so I hit Rylan up. I sent him this track, and he's like, yeah, man, it's cool. Let me sing over it. And he sang over it, and he knocked it out of the park. Like, just totally killed it. And me and my wife listened to it, and we listened to it like 10 times in a row. And we were both like, this is special. Like, there's something to this, you know? So I keep writing songs, and maybe a couple weeks go by, and I told Rylan, I was like, Bud, we got to turn this into a band, because it's not just cool, me and you. Like, it's going to be really weird, like Rylan and Mark and no one else. So I said, who are you thinking? And he starts naming off all these drummers, like the guy from Census Fell and ABR and some other bands. And I was like, man, I said, what about Yogi from Demon Hunter? He's like, do you know him? I said, no, I don't know Yogi. I've never even met him. Like, I played one show with Demon Hunter once in my life, and I didn't even speak to him. So, no, I don't know Yogi. He's like, well, I haven't talked to Yogi in years. I said, well, I don't care. I'm going to shoot him up on an Instagram message and just
he
see
slid into my DMs, Doug.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, who's going to play bass? I said, there's only one person. He's already played with the Letter Black on a handful of shows. I said, it's Trey Daniels. Like, Trey is going to be the bass player. He's been dying to do something with me for over 10 years. We need to just pull the trigger. I'm just going to call him. He's like, Trey's never going to do it. I said, yeah, he is. I'm going to call Trey. Like, literally, I'm going to text him right now. And he's going to call me immediately. And he's going to be like, what are we doing? Send me the tracks. I'll be ready to go. Me and Trey just have that kind of relationship. Like, we'll go for not talking for 2 years, and then it's like inseparable when we see each other. So, and then Andrew kind of came later down the line. We were talking about other guitar players, and at the time, Andrew wasn't in Disciple, so it really made sense, because it was like, well, you know, Demon Hunter doesn't tour much. Letter Black, I mean, we fake tour. I say Demon Hunter fake tours too. You know what I mean? Like, we do a handful of shows a year, and we say we're touring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
you stay
fake
active
tour.
enough to be active, but it's not like we've never. I don't think you've ever heard us, Brian, say in an interview or anything else, deny that we. I mean, we know we don't. We know what we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not, we're not pretending to be August Burns Red or Under Oath that's burning the road down for 300 days a year for 25 years, you know?
Yeah. So when it came to Andrew, it was like, well, it just makes sense. He's not a disciple anymore. He's a great human being, killer guitar player. Like, cause that's half the battle too, is, you know, with this band, like, we want this band to be active. This is not just, let's go play 5 shows a year. Like, this is a band, we want to be on the road. We want to make a name. We want to be something. And we know, like, going into it, like, Trey's only going to make so many shows. P.O.D.'s very active, right? Like, so whatever he can do, he can do. And if not, it's totally fine, right? The rest of us will do it. So, of course, Andrew threw a big old wrench in that when he joined Disciple again. But
Yeah.
that's okay. Regardless, you'll get the 3 of us no matter what. But all that being said, that's really how it all shaped. And it's funny because my first pick, and this is when you know there's something else, when it's not just you, when it's definitely someone else orchestrating
going
this.
on.
Yeah, something else is going on, because my first pick for drums, Yogi, yes. First pick for bass, Trey, yes. First pick for guitar, Andrew, yes. Like, it was just like totally aligned and totally right on the money. So it was just really cool to kind of sit back and see all that work. And somehow, no egos. You know, I mean, collectively between all of us, there's like, what, 13 million records sold and stuff like that. Like, insanity, right, between all the bands. And it's just, all of us just want to play music and have fun and enjoy each other.
Yeah.
So that's what's great about it. So.
Yeah.
Nice. The band name, World Gone Cold. How did this decision get finalized, and what does it mean for you?
I'm taking credit for that one because that was me, man. Like, that was.
No,
I mean,
it was not.
It wasn't just me. It was honestly what it was is it was it was just an intense spitballing of text ideas back and forth for like what? How many days do you think we did that? Where it was like we would send one name right after the other, and everybody would be like, "Nope, sucks." Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh,
Yeah.
I like that version of that.
Yeah.
Until finally, I honestly don't know. I don't even know specifically exactly.
It was me and you.
It
was me and you.
It was me and him, but
we kept going.
That's what we landed on. We were like, okay, this is cool because I like the name. It's different than all of our other names. Like, it's not, and honestly, not to be too cheesy or any of that stuff. Sorry, guys, my wife decided to call, of course. Not to be cheesy or anything like that, but honestly, it's kind of how I feel about the world.
Yeah.
People are just cold nowadays. Like, you don't care about anybody. You can get out on the highway and start driving and see that, man. Like, it's it doesn't take like talking to people to figure it out. Like, just, yeah, like I said, get on the highway and you see that. People are cold these days, man. I feel like it was a play on words in that way. You know, the same way Demon Hunter's a play on words as far as hunting down personal demons and doing all that stuff. I felt like World Gone Cold's like, okay, the world has gone cold. Now our mission is to, yeah, we'll joke about, ooh, it's getting cold in here, or brr, on the interview. But honestly, like I said, being transparent and almost cheesy in a way, like, the world has gone cold. Let's take music to these people that changes that. Like,
that's right.
Let's get everybody together in the same room at the same time. I don't care if you're Christian, non-Christian, Muslim, gay, straight, black, white, Chinese, trans. I don't care if you are pansexual. I don't care what you are. I want you to know that, like, there's a place where you can come and just enjoy yourself in the freedom of music and know that you're being loved on by a group of dudes. And if you want to talk to me about why I'm so happy and why I love on you and why our music is the way it is and why the vibe at our shows is the way it is and all that stuff, I'll gladly tell you why. I'll tell you all about this dude I know. But if not, it's not like Ryland's definitely not going to be preaching from stage. It definitely isn't going to be like, that's not this band's focus. And that's not, we're in a different time now, Doug. You know, that's not me saying that 20 years ago. We're in a different time. Like, I ain't trying to be no cheerleader at no pep rally for Jesus ever in my life, and I definitely ain't trying to do it in 2023. Like, I'm trying to love on folks that people have decided that they hate, and they've decided they hate them in the name of Jesus, and I'm going to go out and love on them in the name of Jesus, and I'm going to do it with a group of dudes I love and some music that I think is, I don't know how much you've heard of it. I don't know if you've just heard the single and that's it, but I'm as proud of this as I could possibly be. period.
Yeah.
Just period. In every way, shape, or form. What it represents, how it turned out, how it sounds, how good the songs are, the dudes I'm with, how good of men they are, the whole thing. I can't really believe it. Like, I can't believe I'm 45. I started in, I know you remember this band's name. You probably remember, you probably know a lot
Holland.
more about me than I would, than I know you do, but I actually started and met you for the first time in 1996 at Cornerstone, because I was in a band called Rocket Boy that was on REX Records.
Oh yeah.
And we had done a record called Now That We Have Your Attention, where all our faces were painted on the front cover. So like, yeah, dude, that's been a long time ago, right? So I can't believe, bro, that we're sitting here in 2023 and I'll be 46 in September, man, and I've got a second lease on like an actual chance to like maybe even go places I've never been before. And that, I'm sure you can tell, like, I'm excited. Like, I can't even contain it at all. I can't shut up. And it's a bad trait at this point because I just keep babbling, but I can't help it.
I can see why you're excited. I've heard the whole album many times, and it's like ready for radio. It's like rocking. It's really, really good. You did a great job on that.
Thank you for saying that, dude.
Thank
Mark,
you.
by the way, that guy you're looking at, the handsome guy you're looking at, is for sure. I mean, he couldn't have done it without any of us, but he also could have, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think it would have had the vibe, but I mean, he could have had other group of dudes and still put out a really killer record. It wouldn't have been World Gone Cold, but
yeah.
I mean, he's a really talented dude, and I feel real lucky that I was his favorite drummer and that he turned out not to be a weirdo. I love it. Sorry, I had to throw something in there at the end. You know,
Every element is really good. Vocals, guitars, drums, keys, the whole vibe, screams. When you answered that last question, I just totally had a flashback to the movie Electric Jesus, where there's an argument in the dressing room about publishing, and the bass player goes, "Oh yeah, that Yahweh rocket launcher, that was me. I wrote that line in the song."
Yahweh rocket launcher, dude. That movie's so good, dude.
Oh, it is.
Please,
I can't.
dude.
I've seen it 10 times, and
I had to buy it on Amazon because I was just like, I have to have it. Like, this has got to be one of those movies. It needs to be in my cloud. I need to have it. Like, I don't need a streaming service to take it away or anything. I need to own it. Like, I need to have it.
I did the same thing. Yep.
Yeah. So good. So good.
What do each of you think about the other members' various bands and projects? So it'll be nice to hear some descriptive words about this collection of bands.
Marcus?
Meaning, like, are we fans of the other bands? And
Yeah. What do you
about?
think? I mean, you can give me like 4 different answers, and so can Yogi.
Yeah. So it's really hard, but I'll just say this: I was a big Disciple fan back when. Oh my goodness! Wild, crazy, insane. What's his name? Played guitar, and I can't think of his name right now. Thank you. You have so many Brad Noah stories. But him and Zach Wild are like 2 of my biggest. Oddly enough, those 2 are some of my biggest influences on guitar.
Both play Les Paul.
Yeah, Les Paul and Angry, pissed off. Like, I always say, you can't make a rock and roll song without piss, urine, and blood. Like, that's just kind of what you need. And those 2 like ooze all of that like attitude. But so definitely, kind of grew up. I shouldn't say grew up, but later in life came on to Disciple. But I've always loved Zach. I've been a Demon Hunter fan girl since the first self-titled, where no one even knew who the Flip was in the band or played.
That wasn't either, by the way.
And it wasn't even a band. It's where Brandon Evil had a mask on in the photo.
Nope,
yeah. So yeah, pretty freaking awesome. I've been a fan since then, and didn't know anything about Christian music or nothing. I just loved Demon Hunter. You know what I mean? Like, knew nothing about any of that at that point in time. And of course, I found out about Inhale Exhale from Travis, because he did that first. Actually, he did all 3 of their records. So when I heard that first record, I fell in love with the screaming and the guitar playing. I thought it was incredible and totally unique to what it was. It was like metalcore, hardcore, punk, a little bit of everything in one. And then I'll be honest with you, man, I've been a P.O.D. fan since I was a kid. Like going to Ozfest, seeing them at Ozfest, them and Rob Zombie and System of a Down all on the same bill, like so insane. So I actually am a big fan of all the bands in different spots of their careers, right? Like of where I love them. Demon Hunter, unfortunately, is the one. I shouldn't say unfortunately. I'd say fortunately is the one that I have always been in love with from now to then. Like I love to see the evolve of what they've come into. Kind of going away from that Rob Zombie Manson kind of esque sound from the early days, even kind of Static Exodus, to where it is now of just, I mean, it's straight up middle fingers metal. You know what I mean? Like what I grew up listening to. I love it. That's been one of those bands. It's they win me on every record. So definitely my favorite of all of them. So I'm not saying that because Yogi's on here because he knows I'm not full of shit. I'd tell you the truth, but that's the truth. So
yeah, because my favorite band's not Letter Black, and Mark's sitting in front of me.
yeah.
And I don't mean that way. I do, so like so I guess he's went through the 4. So the 4 for me would be, I don't know if it's as much fandom as it is like, because when I started, like it's almost like, yes, a fan, P.O.D. for sure. Like 1996 when I was at Cornerstone with Rocket Boy, I remember in the underground tent watching P.O.D. play. I'd never seen them before, didn't know who they were. And that's the night that Sonny proposed to his girlfriend at the time, who's now been his wife since then. And I fell in love with him. I've been out there, all kinds of stuff, moving all these times. I still have that Cornerstone my P.O.D. hat. And to tell you how old it is, it's brown and has the Trinity logo and just says Pebble on deck. It does not say P.O.D. at all. So I fell in love with them then, and then just watching that band, like a bunch of dudes who I knew loved Jesus, and then saw the success that they got to. It was like inspiring, man, because it's like I knew music is what I wanted to do, and I knew that I wanted to do it with as pure of a heart as possible, and like I guess good intentions and pure intentions. And so like to see that was actually possible, because I mean, you know this as long as you worked in this business. To me, that band more than any other band, Stryper kind of was before them in a way, and there were other bands who kind of did it. But to me, that band did something that no other Christian associated band has ever done. They broke down like every wall. Like everybody I know, whether they're all those people I mentioned earlier, the wide scope of people that we all now and are identified in our culture, like every single one of them knows who P.O.D. is. All of them, whether it's from their moms or dads, or most of them, a lot of them know they're Christian. A lot of them don't. So to me, that's my P.O.D. take. Disciple, kind of the same as Mark. They actually played when I was in Rocket Boy, they played a summer camp that we played as well. And so I met those guys then in 96, and it was Kevin and Tim and Brad. And so I've literally known those guys that long. And I've always kind of loved what they did. There's sometimes, like with any band you like, sometimes you're like, cool. Sometimes you're like, oh yeah. I've never been like, man, this sucks. This is not good. They're always consistently good. Kevin's always found great musicians to put in that band. I love this lineup he's got now. I've known his drummer Joey since Joey was 14. I would like to think I had some influence by a conversation with Kevin over Joey being in the band. I don't know if I really do, but I like to take credit for it a little bit. I rib Joey about it a lot. But so that's my Disciple thing. Inhale Exhale toured with Demon Hunt. So they went on the tour with us, and I love Ryland. I love John. Brian was still in the band at that point. I love all those dudes. So I've always loved them and thought they were good. I always thought they were super underrated. They were one of the solid state bands that I never really figured out. Like, there were a handful of bands that really got big off of that label in those early 2000s. And Inhale Exhale is one of the ones that I thought should have, and it never made sense to me why they didn't. So that's what I thought about them. And then Letter Black, my first introduction was seeing Mark's lovely wife and my wonderful friend Miss Sarah in the Hottest Chicks in Metal issue of Revolver.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, whoa, there's like a chick that's in like a tooth and nail band that's like in the Hottest Chicks thing. This is crazy. Like, I wonder what people think. So I've always had my eyeball on them and thought that Mark wrote nasty riffs and stuff. So for me, that's why I didn't really hesitate to say yeah. Because it's like, if this is who this is, like, if you're not lying to me, I know we don't personally know each other, but as long as all the people that you are saying are going to be in this band or in it, dude, I'm in. You don't have to convince me of anything. I love everything all these dudes have been in, and I love all these guys, so I'm in for sure. Yeah.
It appears that one of the common threads in this band is faith in Christ. So how does faith intersect within the friendship or bonds that you guys share?
It's definitely stronger in some of the bonds, not because any of us are any more into our faith than others, but I think a couple of us have bond. Like Mark and I have definitely grew up in the same kind of church. We still attend the same kind of church, things like that. It's definitely obviously we all come from that side of things, and it is a big deal to me, and it is a big deal to Mark. And I know it's a big deal to Trey, and I mean everybody to an extent, but I'm trying to put this eloquently without sounding weird. Like, it's not like it's more about a personal goal of kind of taking the Christ part of it to people versus like World Gone Cold, the band, being like any kind of like preachy, anything like that. Does that make sense? Hello. I lost both of you guys. Interesting. Ooh, I gotta use the bathroom.
You there?
I'm here.
Okay, so the recording is still going. Good. I muted Mark, and can you text him or tell him to get back on this call?
Yeah, I will. I'll
This like stayed on in the background, but I'm glad I caught you.
Yeah, let me text him right quick.
All right. That's my bad. There was a bunch of noise in so I muted him, and I thought, oh, this will be easy to unmute.
Yeah, he was like being loud. He was in his car. I don't know why he gets off at 5. So it was just so close. He's probably on his way home. But yeah. I don't know where we left off.
Well, the question was, it appears that perhaps one of the common threads in this band is faith in Christ. And how does faith intersect? How does faith intersect within the friendship or bonds that you guys share? So you can just answer that from the start again.
It does. It's not a huge bonding point for everybody and everybody's relationships with each other, if that makes sense. Like Mark and I have connected on a level because we're not all from the same place. We're not all from the same. We're not all in the same stage in our walks, or however you want to call it, or anything of that. Like some of us don't come from. We all come from different backgrounds and stuff. So it's really just more about like we all have faith, and it's definitely, you've heard from me and Mark, it's a big deal for us. But I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like a bonding point for our relationships. I think that's more just like, it's kind of a given. We kind of know where everybody stands. And it's not a detriment to our relationships, if that makes sense. And it's also like, I don't want to give anybody the misrepresentation or anything that World Gone Cold's writing music from that necessarily that the viewpoint of trying to be evangelical or like spread some kind of message, because it's not the music's not our music. Lyrically, it's not that at all, for sure.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I mean, it's not very upfront, straightforward. It's not a Christian band. Like, we are Christians, and I can't speak for everybody. I'm speaking for me and Yogi at this point, right? Of where we are, where our hearts are at, and all of that. And that's for everybody's personal, right? I mean, that's only God can judge a man's heart. But
and I'm not trying to be weird either. I'm just trying to not speak for those guys and their bands that they're in. Their bands,
right.
All of our bands have been associated with the Christian scene at some point, and obviously that has been an intersection for all of us at some point. But like I was trying to kind of just eloquently put it, or whatever, I wasn't trying to evade or be weird and be that like, oh, we're all Christians, this is not a Christian band. It's just, honestly, it's like, it actually has very little to do with World Gone Cold, how it got together and how it's proceeding forward, really. It just happens to be, we're all from the bands we're from, and a couple of us share like a really tight bond when it comes to that, me and Mark for sure. But I'm not going to, and would be, I think it wouldn't be wise of me to speak for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that's not a lame answer. It's just the truth, honestly, Doug. I mean, I'm not trying to like, you know what I mean? Not trying to like anything other than just be honest with you. I just don't want to speak for everybody.
Right.
And we're not writing lyrics. We're not writing songs like Disciple that's like specifically geared towards that crowd and that thing. It's like, we're just trying to make really killer songs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, more than anything else.
You're doing a good job.
We're trying to make good music, and it's and once again, we didn't want that, like Letter Black. It was funny, like, we toured more in the mainstream world, right? Letter Black, with all these bands we were out with, from Pop Evil to Sick Puppies to the Pretty Reckless, right? I mean, she's half naked on stage, and we were always, just from being on Tooth and Nail, even though we are, but it's not that we weren't, but we were always stigmatized as a Christian band, and that's just, good, bad, indifferent, however you want to look at it. World Gone Cold is just not that. So it's a totally different thing. You know what I mean? It's just a band, like anything else. So.
I kind of take World Gone Cold for me too is like, it's almost that stigma that Mark talked about, that you and I and he all know exist, and it almost sometimes it comes from the other side in the way we're talking about, which is the non-Christian side of like, oh, these guys are in a Christian band, they're not that legit, or they're not going to be that cool to hang out with, or they're not this or that. And so you kind of get like looked at as like Demon Hunter had to fight from that point of view, and on top of that, not being a full-time touring band. So we kind of had to like fight both things when it came to like that mainstream market and those mainstream people, mainstream bands or whatever. But I think it's like, for me, this is my chance to get with a bunch of us that have kind of been, it's not like we're the underdogs or anything, but maybe we are. Like, maybe it's a bunch. Trey's not, obviously, with that much success, but I think the other four of us kind of feel like underdogs a little bit. Like, we've been in bands that we thought were just as good as any other band in the world, regardless of religious denunciation or being a Christian or whatever. We thought, and maybe kind of like because our band stayed in that lane and chose to stay in it to protect our reputation and just stand for something. Personally, as musicians, we've always felt just a little bit disrespected. Like, I know that I've never been in any of the like drum magazines, music magazines, any of that. I've never been referred to as like one of the best drummers in metal or any of that stuff. And that's I consider myself that, but I also don't consider myself that, if that makes sense. So this is kind of my, you know what? Like, let's take the Jesus part out of it for a minute, and us 5 guys, let's prove to all of those dudes who have doubted dudes like us for years, let's prove to them that we can play their game and play it better than them. That's kind of that may sound conceited, cocky. I don't really care how it sounds, because it's not coming from that place. It's more just about, man, I'm ready. And then there's all the other stuff behind that. Obviously, like, while we're doing it, the joyful part, like it does make me joyful. It does make me excited. And I know the Lord wants me to be that way on a daily basis. So that, to me right there, I'm doing the Lord's work just by being in the band.
Indeed.
Yep.
So who came up with most of the vocal ideas, and how did these songs get constructed? Break down 1 or 2 for us.
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Sorry if it's loud, but so if you look at whatever you want to look at, opposites attract, or let's do opposites attract in reality.
Big one. Want to turn your camera back on?
Oh, sure. Yes, I'm in a grocery store, so that'll be fun.
Nice.
Okay, so if we do opposites attract, let's look at that. So typically how this works, and it's on every single song, is I do all the music, right? So I make all the musical parts, figure out what that's going to look like, and then I send it off to Rylan with, it's going to have drum ideas. They don't stay. Yogi, of course, does what he wants. I put bass ideas in there. Trey does what he wants. But the guitars, all the electronics, all that stuff is all me, right? So I get kind of what I want, what the song feels like. And then Rylan either vibes with the song or he doesn't. And he's very, you never have to think, I wonder what he's thinking, because he lets you know. Because he will just be like, this song sucks. I do not like it. I do not vibe with this. Nope. So the nice thing was, when I'll give you opposites attract, like he says this in every interview, like I gave him a softball. Like that was just like his favorite, because it was just like, oh, Mark, thank you. I could kiss you on the lips. This was perfect. Like, appreciate it. And then if I go like the left to save, like that one's just so gritty and wants to rip somebody's head off. And he talks about, well, what is that one really about, Yogi? It's kind of like that, those people, they like, I forget what they were called, but they like went and were stuck in the mountains or in a cave and they resorted to cannibalism or something like that. I forget what they're called, but
yeah. That's what Left to Save's lyrics about. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because that's about that, and then Burn is about the Salem witch trials and stuff like that. So like the lyrics are just all over the place. Because honestly, opposites attract, like his lyrics and his melody, like that's all him on all those songs. That's all lyrics, melodies, all Rylan. I'm the music side, and opposites attract is more of that like inner struggle. Like there's 2 sides to you. What side wins, right? Like that's where he kind of came from with it. That doesn't mean that that's where you have to come from with it. I mean, Rylan has a great way of writing, letting the listener figure out what's important to them, which is one of the things that I really loved about Kurt Cobain. It's one of the things I love about Dave Grohl, right? Like he gives you a story, but it's not a Backstreet Boys NSYNC story. It's what's it mean to you? You tell me what it means to you. So
thank you. So the next question I have has many layers to it, or many parts. So how important is melody? How important are keyboards, drums? How do you decide when to stack rhythm guitars?
Wow. That's pretty crazy. Mark has the answer to that one.
Yeah, I'll take that. So guitars are always stacked. I'm sorry.
I got to step. I'm listening. I'm literally stepping to the side. My daughter needs to ask me something, apparently. I'm listening, and I'm right here. Not leaving.
You got it. Okay, so guitars are always stacked. on every pretty much. I've produced the last 2 Letter Black records, and then of course with this record, I'm really big into quadding guitars. So I do that a lot. I do a lot of guitar layers. I mean, pretty much each song has anywhere between like 16 to 20 tracks of guitars. It has about that many vocals too. 16 to 24 vocal tracks. Drums, honestly, you know, I'm a drummer at heart. I was, you know, I got accepted to Berklee College of Music for drums. So I have an idea of kind of what I always want for drums, but I always leave that up to Yogi, right? Like, this is just my thought. Do what you want, right? And I think that's the beauty about it. And he's 10 billion times better than I'll ever be. Same thing with Trey. Like, I give Trey an idea of like, this is what I'm hearing, but I don't ever want it to be me. I always say the best idea in the room wins. So, and then when I do the keyboards, like, you know, you have to realize, like, to me, I just look at it as synth, and it's just, I try to get that. I look at synth and stuff as just icing on the cake, right? It's just little things that if it's not there, so what? But since it is there, it's pretty cool. I've always been a big fan of all that kind of, you know, Nine Inch Nails, Orgy, all those kind of bands, and I love the symphonic side of it. Even when you get into the kind of the cheesy side, like the European metal, I still like it. I think it's cool. It's just got its own time and place. So hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, I feel like these songs really benefited from the keyboards.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I mean, it has that feel to it.
How was this album recorded? I'm curious what the process was like, if you played live together in a studio, did this virtually or what?
No. No, that would have been really cool. And it would have been a really cool story. But no, I literally did everything from my house. Rylan did all the vocals from his house. Trey did the bass from his house. Andrew did the guitar solos from his house. And then me and Yogi got together for the drums. That was the only thing that we were together on. And it was me and Yogi. But other than that,
and it was in my friend's garage studio too. So
it was.
It technically was in the house as well. You know,
it was. But the cool thing was, like, everybody just sent me their raw tracks, and then I edited it, tuned it, did what I needed to do to it, and I think that's what made it cool too, because I got everybody's thing, but I was able to manipulate it and kind of, you know, put a little bit of different stuff on it too.
Wow. So did you start with scratch tracks and then add drums and then go from there? Or what was the process like?
So what I typically do is I start with my guitar riff, right? Like what I'm thinking for the song. And I just start building it out. I put drums on it. I mean, Yogi knows all this, right? I put the drums on it, put bass on it. The only thing I don't do is put vocals on it. But I literally do I demo out the entire song like if I did it by myself. That's what I do. That's just my process for writing. And then once we figure out if we like a song, then I actually really track it for real. Like, I'll send it to him unedited, you know, like not perfect. So
You've already touched on this, but tell me about the song Left to Save. What inspired the lines about murder, mountain mystery?
Yogi, why don't you take that one?
Well, it's about that thing. It's about that. I have to text Riley because I, for goodness sakes, I don't know why it's not coming to my brain too. But it's about that particular story, about that trial, that murder mystery, I guess. Because they found a bunch of bodies in a cave, and
it's because Rylan is sick and twisted. That's why. No, I don't know. I have no idea why he did, but honestly, that's what I love about him, because you don't know what he's gonna say, like, and that's what's cool, because it's not predictable and it's not cheesy. Like, that's the nice thing about it. So I think, to me, that's the thing that I like the most about him, is you have no idea. Like, I have no idea what he's gonna send me, and he'll send it to me, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, it's great. I did not hear that coming or anything, and I didn't think you were gonna talk about witches, but yeah, cool, let's burn them. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. So
let's burn them, man.
Just saying. You know what I mean? Like, he's just nuts like that. I think that's really cool, though.
Yeah.
A lot of the lyrics seem to be about relationships or the ending thereof. Describe a few things that you like about women.
That's amazing.
Well, That's such a loaded question. There's a lot of things that I love about women. No, that's such a softball bad answer for us to give you.
That's
like,
a troublesome.
Yogi, that's all you, buddy.
Everything. That's my answer. Everything.
Everything.
I love everything they are and everything they're about. I love everything about them.
Yes. I agree. I concur.
Yep.
Sub question. What are the top 3 signals that a female is interested in you?
Well, you're asking 2 married men some really bad questions right now.
It's February.
Women, guys. Well, I mean, the obvious one is if she tells you. That's the.
If she tells you.
That's about as obvious as it is. Definitely eye contact and body language. To me, with my wife, I know that's what it was for us. Like,
yeah,
it was just kind of that. It was like,
yeah, body language for sure. You're right. Like, you can definitely read it and see it. So, and then you also know, like, when she's, if it's someone that you see often, she keeps making those sly little things and the little touches. Like, if a woman touches you, she likes you. I mean, unless you're a raging idiot.
We're just
yeah. She doesn't just touch you to touch you. So there's a reason she's touching you.
What are some of the most embarrassing or wildly successful pickup lines or actions that you've ever witnessed or used?
Oh my goodness. Oh,
okay.
man.
I did one time. I'll be honest. So when me and Patrick, the guitar player for Demon Hunter, before he was in Demon Hunter, he was actually moving across the country with me to Seattle. And at the time, we had been watching that VH1 show, The Pickup Artist. And it was like this guy and his group of friends, and they would go out and be wingmen. He's basically just teaching men how to pick up women, like how to get like women that you think are way out of your league to be into you. So we read this. He wrote a book too. So we got the book and decided it would be a good idea because why not? You're a couple dudes just driving across the country in a Hyundai Sonata. And we literally read that book going across the country. And when we got to California, because we were meeting Demon Hunter out there for when they did that, I think they did it 1 year, Cornerstone, California.
Oh, yeah.
We were playing at that. That's the year I moved up to Seattle, and I was driving out there. So we were going to go there first, hang out with some friends of ours in California for a couple weeks, and then go up to Seattle and live in Seattle for whatever. We didn't know at the time. It ended up being like less than 2 years, but the weather sucks. I hate it. So we get out to California. We've read this book, and he talks about this thing in his book called negging a woman, N-E-G. Basically, just like, especially if you're the kind of guy that thinks you're talking to a girl who's out of your league, if you don't go up to her and act like a buffoon and actually kind of pick out something about her that's, she's probably self-conscious about her nails if they're not perfect, her hair if it's not perfect, maybe her outfit she's got on, and say something that's like a backhanded compliment and has got like a little bit of a negative comment about something else. Hey, your nails are beautiful. Too bad, like, your toenails don't match. Or something like that, you know what I mean? And so we were like, dude, this can't work. There's no way. I was like, well, the best way is for me to try, because I've always been a fat kid, had fat kid mentality, been terrible with girls. I was like, I'll actually try this. We had some friends, and we were staying with them, and they had lots of female friends that would come over and hang out. And there was one girl who was just gorgeous. I was single at the time, by the way. Didn't even know my wife. And so I just started being real funny and friendly and being myself, but then also kind of throwing these random negs at her throughout the night. And yeah, man, it worked, bro. It worked. It was successful. She thought I was cool. She gave me some kisses, and it was cool. So it was like, I was just like, I can't believe that just worked. That dude is right. Like, how is that possible? So it worked for me. I'm not saying it worked for everybody, but like, don't be mean, but definitely don't be too complimentary. Like, find one thing to highlight that's really great about them. Oh, you have some of the, your teeth are like the most beautiful teeth. You have the most beautiful smile I've ever seen. Like, you should, I think you'd probably look better as a brunette, though, if it's a blonde. I think that's your complexion I think you'd be that would make you the perfect girl. you're not saying she's ugly at all. You're just saying like there is a little bit you could do to get to that next bump up. They can't believe that a 4 or a 3 is telling them anything. So then they're curious as to why you're not like all the other losers who just tell them how gorgeous they are. Yeah. That worked for me, bro. I'm just saying. My wife's out of my league, dude. I did that to her too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got no pickup line. That was never my thing. Like, I was never a pickup line guy. I kind of like what Yogi said is what I did, but in a different way. I would pick on girls. You know what I mean? Like tease them. And that turned into them really liking me. For me, that's how I won Sarah over. I just teased her all the time. I don't know how that charmed her. I have no clue, but it worked. And I mean,
you got 3 young ones.
Yeah, I mean, 19 years later, it's all worked out. So,
it worked, bro.
That's right.
Ain't no doubt about that. It definitely worked.
Nice. What are the biggest challenges your generation, for example, faces when it comes to relationships today?
Oh, no one wants to work things out. They're just too easy to just say we're done and quit. No one wants to put the work in. That's my 2 cents. I feel like everybody's just like, let's get divorced. Let's get divorced. It doesn't work out. Let's get divorced. My thing is, once you take divorce out of the picture, right, and that's not even an option, then you have to work it out. And I just feel like that's what you have to do. You have to choose to love each other. I hate when people say they fall out of love, stuff like that. Like, man, love's a choice. You have to choose it, right? It's just everything else. It's like anything else in life. It's a choice. You gotta do it. And there's times when it's easy, and there's times when it's hard, right? And it's always easy to do something. This sounds weird saying it this way, but it's easy to do it when it's easy. When it's hard is when you got to dig in, and that's when the relationship flourishes to me, because you have something to look back on and say, man, do you remember, see where we came from? Like, do you remember when it was bad? How about now? Thank God we dug in, we prayed through this, we sought after guidance. We weren't too proud to not go get counseling or whatever, right? Like, that's where it's make or break to me. And I just always feel like you need to take divorce out of it. Like, you got to work through it. You just do. It's too easy.
Touche, dude. Touche. And honestly, if I were going to expound on that at all, it would just be like why I think things are easier to walk away. And I think it's because the things we're holding in our hands and using to do this interview, man. Like, used to, you would have to go out and seek somebody to get into trouble with. Now, if you want to cheat on your wife, bro, you can get on the phone and be somewhere in 15 minutes cheating on your wife. Like, so it's like, yeah. I'm not saying, I mean, you know what I meant by that. I'm just saying, like, I think that's the problem, is that it's so easy to cheat. It's so easy to walk away. And people usually want whatever the easy thing is. Because it's best for our mental health to take the easy way out, right? That's best for your mental health. I feel like that's the message that's spread these days. Just do whatever's easy, Bubba. That's best for your mental health. That'll make you less anxious. No, do what's hard. That's best for your mental health, because if you make it through the hard shit, you come out of that with mental health that will be able to stand anything. But if you always take the easy way out, think, I don't want a challenge because it's best for my mental health, well, then guess what? Your mental health is. And that's why you got some people killing themselves and on drugs, is because my generation, especially, I'm in my mid 40s, so most of my generation of teenagers, my generation has done a really good job of parenting. And your phone is so loud when you're not talking. It is the most distracting thing in the world, Mark Anthony. Sorry, it's just really loud.
It's all right.
Yeah, so that's what I would say.
I got 2 more questions and we'll wrap this thing up. What are your plans for this band, and what role will live performance hold for y'all?
Go for it, baby.
You want me to answer it? Okay. So the goal in this band, honestly, is to be full-time. I mean, touring. Like, this band is not. That's why when you say supergroup, me and Yogi cringe, because this is just a band. Like, I know we're all from different bands, and it's always going to be viewed as a supergroup, but we want to be on the road. Like, we want to tour. I want to do as many shows as possible. Like I don't want to put a gap or a limit or anything, but I want to tour as much as this band can get out. So, I mean, we are currently working on whatever we can do to do it. I mean, we have shows on the books right now, and it's going to keep coming. And honestly, I'm hoping by next year that it's like, wow, holy cow, that's a full touring band.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's the goal. Is by this time next year, it's a full touring band.
Yeah.
So
That's definitely the goal. I would say, Mark saying that about it being a full-time touring band. My two least favorite cringeworthy words right now that have been slang around about us so far are supergroup and side project. Because it's another band that we're all in, and I don't feel like anybody in the band's super. It's just we've all worked hard to obviously build reputations. But the other thing is probably the only person that side project label truly applies to in this band is Trey. We've had discussions about that. He knows that. He does not mind me saying that. We just talked about this Tuesday. He does not mind saying that P.O.D., those are his brothers. He's been there for 30 years. They're still trying to go at it. They are an active entity still, and he will not leave them to be in this band, and we wouldn't want him to, because I love that band too much to take somebody away from them. Like, that would be, like, silly. And we've been transparent to let everybody know, like, maybe this wasn't our goal 2 years ago when Mark bore this idea and emailed it. Actually, over 2 years ago, when he initially sent that slid into my DM, so to speak. Our intentions have changed since then. I would say the last 12 months more than anything. Like, it's been like, okay, yeah, this isn't like just a thing we're going to do, guys. This isn't like a one project side thing. This isn't anything. This is a new band that we all want to be in and are most of us can commit full time to, and we want to, and we're willing to. So, like Mark says, like, I would say my goal is, like, our goal is to be a full time present touring commodity that people want to go see live. Like, that it's like, I gotta go see them. Yeah, these songs are great, but I gotta go see them. Like, I didn't think I would ever get to see this. I got to go see it. Like, this is too unique and too rare. I got to go see it.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Man, I mean, I appreciate you taking all this time to talk to us, dude. I'm glad that it's, one of the things is, like, when I saw your request come through from Tori, it was like, obviously, yeah, immediately, like, I would love to talk to Doug for sure. But I think more than anything, man, like, not to be cheesy, but I would say, I've never been able to tell you this, but I would say thank you, man. Like, you've always covered, to me, you're the one guy in, like, Christian media, the one. I'm honest to God. I would say that you and John Thompson are the two guys that when I talk to people about you guys, or your names come up, or your publications or the things you guys have done in the past come up, like, there aren't everybody in this business, all these bands, all the dudes like me and Mark, like, we appreciate you. And I mean, I've been reading your magazine since I was a kid. Like, when it was an actual physical magazine, I couldn't wait for my mom and dad to take me to the Christian bookstore so I could buy Heaven's Metal. Like, I needed to see if Holy Soldier or if Sacred Warrior or Strider or Guardian or Bride was on the cover. I needed to see who it was. I needed to read all the things. I needed to see these bands. So, dude, not to, like, deflect from World Gone Cold or any of that, but I would say, honestly, thank you. Thank you for supporting me and all the bands I've been in over the years. And I'm just really excited about this. And I don't think I would be in this position if it weren't for people like you that have been honest and open and covered it in an honest and open way over the years. So I'm really glad that we can still sit here and have a conversation.
Likewise. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely.
Appreciate the encouragement.
Dude, don't stop, please, dude. There's a lot of us that still listen to what you say. Like, it's
yeah.
Yeah, we still do. We're out there, bro. We're still listening to you. I don't know. I know things have changed over the years. I still listen. I still respect today, and I like your interviews. Demon Hunter, for sure, we've always respected you big time. You've always been open and honest with us and covered us in an open and honest way, so I appreciate that, man.
Thanks for sharing that.
Good, dude. Absolutely. I'm going to go eat tacos with my family. I love both of you guys, and I hope y'all have a great but I have not eaten all day, and I'm big boy Yogi man needs to put some tacos in his face. So thanks for having us, Doug. Appreciate it. If you need anything from us, by the way, where are you living now, dude?
Still in Austin, Texas area.
Still in Austin? Man,
Yeah.
did you know the Demon we played there back in September?
I was there.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there.
Dude, you can't come to the show and not say hello to me, bro.
I'm sorry.
Figure out how to do it. Like, look at somebody that looks like they would know how to go grab me. And please, next time we're down there, say hello to me, sir.
All right. I will not make that mistake again.
Not only that, but you better let me know before time. Now that you got my little Skype thing, just message me on Skype, and you should never have to pay for a ticket. You will never have to pay for a ticket where I'm playing drums. I'll tell you that much. So
Thanks.
You just let me know. You let me know when you want to come see Demon Hunter World Gone Cold, and you're there, dog.
I paid for that ticket too.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh my goodness.
I know you did, because you didn't ask us for it. Your name wasn't on the guest list. I see it every night. And that's another reason dudes like us respect you, bro. You're not that guy. Most everybody else is. Most everybody else thinks because they like write for Jimmy's House of Christian Music on blogspot.com, like they should get into your show for free because they're helping spread the word about your band. And it's like, you've never done that, dude. And there's a reason you got the respect that you have amongst me and my peers anyway. So yeah, I'll quit kissing your butt. I love you guys. Awesome.
Love you too, bro. Enjoy the tacos.
Hey, Doug, thank you so much for the interview. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Sorry it was chaotic.
No worries. Thanks for making it fun.
You're welcome. I'll see you.
All right, take it easy.
See ya.
Bye.